of the universe as we know it. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we will be taking a look at 3 recent discoveries.
Really?
Mysterious ring structure around supernova 1987A. For over 3 decades, the supernova 1987A has fascinated astronomers. The light from the supernova, which lives in a dwarf satellite galaxy of the Milky Way called the Large Magellanic Cloud, reached scientists in 1987. And since it was the first supernova discovered that year, it was given the apt name Supernova 1987A. The supernova has an incredible history, and the first supernova that astronomers have been able to study in depth. It has its own special place in history. The astronomers have also used their observations of the supernova to learn a significant amount about core collapse supernovae. In a NASA Hubble Space Telescope image, 3 mysterious rings of gas can be seen around supernova 1987A. The image came from the Wide Field Planetary Camera 2 in February 1994. These rings have remained a mystery for many years. The 3 rings are assumed to be in different planes, with the smallest ring lying in a plane that contains the supernova, and the other 2 lying in front and behind it. Astronomers were expecting to see a bubble of gas in the shape of an hourglass being blown into space by the supernova's progenitor star, so the rings were an interesting surprise. However, it's possible that a high-energy radiation beam may have painted the 2 rings on an invisible hourglass. As for what the source of the high-energy radiation beam is, it could be a stellar remnant that was a binary companion to the original star that exploded all the way back in 1987. It's always exciting to completely solve a long-standing mystery, and while astronomers may not have gotten to the point yet when it comes to these rings, a breakthrough might be just around the corner. We'll just have to wait and see. Hubble discovers 67 gravitationally lensed galaxies in the distant universe. The NASA Hubble Space Telescope has again played a hand in a new astronomical discovery, as astronomers have used its data to compile a catalogue of gravitational lenses in a distant universe. The record contains 67 of these images found around these massive galaxies that are elliptical and lenticular shaped. This sample shows how diverse these gravitational lenses can be. Incredibly, if the sample is representative of the whole, there might be close to 1 million gravitational lenses in the sky. The observations are part of a large project called the Cosmos Project, whose main purpose is to survey a 1.6 square field of the sky with both space-based and Earth-based observations of the area. The area also happens to be 9 times the area of the Moon, so it's no easy feat. The lensing created by the massive galaxies is generally more common than the gigantic arc, gravitationally lensed galaxies observed by the Hubble, but they are more difficult to detect over smaller areas. This gravitational lensing happens when light that travels to...
With the biggest range of cars to buy entirely online, it's no wonder everyone's cinching it. Ollie cinched it, the Pollock family cinched it. This guy cinched it.
You're going nowhere, son. Yeah, but no unexpected charges.
With so many great reasons to buy. The nation aren't just nailing it, they're cinching it.
Did you know that you've got Netflix with your BT TV? A crime thriller for you, Emma? Or something more up your street, Clive?
Discover something you'll love on Netflix with broadband and TV from BT, all for just £6 a month till 2023.
Scooch up.
We'll also take a little bit more of that.
Check 1, check 2, check 1, check 2.
News coming to you live from the banks of the Maribyrnong River, which today burst its banks, inundating dozens of homes and businesses, causing some of the worst flooding in a generation. This is the epicentre of Victoria's still unfolding emergency, but across the state, hundreds of properties are underwater and the threat is far from over. Our reporters are at key locations around Melbourne and throughout regional Victoria to bring you the very latest tonight. But Mark Santomartino begins tonight's coverage in Maribyrnong.
Clouds were clearing over Melbourne as the banks of the Maribyrnong broke and the emergency began. Antoinette and her neighbours were among the first to be plucked from inundated homes by an undermanned but determined SES.
SES have rescued our dog and the cat. It's quite testing.
Countless cars were trapped in the torrent that swept through businesses on the banks and down Maribyrnong Road, swallowing suburban streets.
We had live coverage of flash flooding overnight.
With a force that carried skips, ripped equipment from the Westgate Tunnel project and pontoons away from their moorings. As children were carried and pets and families were rescued, Good Samaritans did what they could, helping an elderly man.
You have no one else at home?
Before going back for his wife, water lapping at their door.
No inside yet, but that's soon.
James Philpott was rescued from Leopold Street. At 4 a.m, he got a text urging him to evacuate.
Out of control, just started rising and rising and rising, and I think no one predicted it would be this bad.
We prepared, but I was really unprepared for this. So some sandbags, but they just didn't do anything. Everything's under. The fridges have tipped over downstairs, the washing machine, it's pretty much the laundry was filling up.
Maribyrnong locals are no stranger to floods.
I was here in mid-80s when it went. I think this is starting to get a little bit worse.
But after Melbourne dodged the worst of yesterday's rain, no one predicted kids getting ready for school would be rushed to neighbouring roofs.
I was like freaking out what to do next. But after they saved us, I was like, phew. Escape
wasn't easy. Residents guided cars along fences and footpaths confronted by rivers over roads. With orders to fill, Ben Nicholisi had to put his business over his home.
We don't know what to do, don't know where to go. I mean, we've got places where we can go, but it's family home of, 60, 70 years. And we just hope nothing gets damaged.
For one 93-year-old, that hope has faded. She was trapped, stranded on the second floor of her home, confronted by this.
Everything's gone. Electricity's on, water, hot water, it's all fine. So, yeah, no issues staying here.
Most did find refuge at a community hall. One father and his newborn found safety at a bus stop. Others relied on the goodwill of strangers.
I saw the devastation. I thought I might come and do something, help as much as I can.
To give you a sense of the power of this water, these metal sheds were about 50 metres that way in the middle of this athletics track before the flood hit. They've been carried right up here to the bank. This entire track was only renovated a couple of years ago, and in a few weeks' time it was meant to host the Essendon Gift.
And we only had to resurface about 2, maybe 3 years ago maximum, so hopefully it hasn't lifted underneath the water.
We only found out at 5 o'clock this morning, so not enough time to do anything really.
The SES door knocked as many as they could, but they too were only expecting moderate flooding.
What we've seen is rainfall that exceeded the initial forecast. We also saw it coinciding with the high tide. I couldn't tell you which houses may not have been doorknocked that have been impacted, but what I can say is there's been warnings out for those communities for several days.
It's shameful that the people of the city of Maribyrnong are not serviced well. There's an election coming up. I don't care who gets in. I just wish whoever gets in will put more money, more funding, more resources into the Footscray unit and the SES in general across the state.
And Mark is at the Maribyrnong Relief Centre on Randall Street tonight. Mark, what kind of support are people getting there?
Well, people are picking up care packages, Alicia. There's food, water, they can use the bathrooms, power their devices, but it's not an evacuation centre. There's nowhere for these people to sleep. Many of those, as part of the more than 100 or so homes in Maribyrnong that are affected, will be relying on friends and family, but those who have nowhere to stay are relying on these hard-working volunteers, getting their details and putting them up in places to stay for the night. When they can go back to their homes is still a bit iffy. At the moment, we know the water is receding. However, it's not all the way back in the river just yet. How long that process takes is anyone's guess, and what they're going to find will take a long time to clean up, Alicia.
Certainly will. Okay, Mark Santomartino, thank you. And as Mark said, with the dirty brown water now receding for so many homeowners along the Maribyrnong River, the slow and painful task of cleaning up has already begun. Maggie Rayworth is along the Esplanade and joins me now. Maggie, how much damage are locals dealing with there?
There's a severe amount of damage to this area. Now, I'm in a flood-affected home on the Esplanade. That's one of the main affected streets in Maribyrnong. Now, the resident of this home has invited us in because they wanted to show just the full extent of how much just their property has received. Now, if you look around, there's debris just even on the floor here. Things have been lifted anywhere they can be put, and that's because after the floods receded about 2 hours ago, with that flood water brought in debris and rubbish. So that's when the clean-up effort started for a lot of these residents. But they're just the lucky residents. We know so many more people are standing around waiting for those flood waters to recede so they can actually re-enter their homes. So now the clean-up is very much underway. But I'll just show you in here. Inside here is actually the residents' garage, and that is about knee-deep water. All of their belongings inside their garage there have been completely destroyed. So she's preparing to throw all of those things out because the water has destroyed nearly all of her belongings. Now I'm in the backyard here, and if you take a look just at the grass here, it's muddy, there's still water here. The resident here, Mariuka, she says that her furniture in the backyard has just simply been thrown around. So just here, this table here, that was completely shifted in the flood. So it was certainly some strong water coming through her backyard. Now this is Mariuka. Thank you, Mariuka. Tell us about your house and the damage that's been done.
It's been a lot of damage now to clean up, really. I've been the fortunate one.
Where the fuck am I going?
It was stickling under the floorboards, so I rolled up all the rugs. But as you can see along the hedge there, how high it got in my backyard.
Now your backyard's really just, the water's just really disappeared in the last hour. Describe what it looked like here just a few moments ago, really.
It was a lake. It was really a lake. I don't want a swimming pool anymore. I always wanted one.
At least you can laugh about it, Mariuka. But obviously the clean-up effort continues. A lot of people are waiting. We've had people come from different suburbs just to simply help people like Mariuka get that debris out of their homes. But a long clean-up effort will continue to come.
I think I've got it about 4 now.
Well, despite the best efforts to prepare, several it's hard. It's hard for me to
inundated. Bulleen Road is closed, along with many other surrounding roads. Marcelin College and Trinity Grammar have been severely affected. One of the sports ovals just near Marcelin was underwater when we got here this afternoon, and not long after that, a second oval disappeared under the floodwaters. Elsewhere, the Werribee River reached 5 metres this afternoon and an emergency warning was issued. It is now under a watch and act. It's expected to drop below the moderate flood level of 4.5 metres this evening. There are still 11 major flood warnings in place across the state, and some rivers through the north, including the Goulburn at Shepparton, aren't expected to peak until Tuesday. So while the rivers around Melbourne will subside in the next couple of days, the Bureau has told us that it'll be a 4 to 6 week experience for northern Victoria, where the floodwaters take a lot longer to move downstream, Alicia. Just incredible. All right, Maddie, we'll see you a bit later on in the bulletin. Well, let's look at Seymour now, north of Melbourne, and at least 300 properties there have been swamped. As Penelope Lears reports, residents and dozens of prized horses were lucky to escape to higher ground.
Swimming against a rising current, a race against time to keep dozens of horses' heads above water. Finally led to safety at Mangalore. Saved by boats in Seymour too, water police coming to the rescue of residents who fled their homes, stranded at Aldi overnight, delivered with their dogs to dry land.
About midnight, the water got a bit too high. I got a bit nervous when the water started lapping at the door.
The rescues continuing around the clock, people and pets helped to safety. In the morning light, Seymour was submerged. 300 properties affected, homes, businesses, cars and roads inundated. Taxis abandoned in a floating car park.
All of this, I grew up here, and it's the first time I've seen it underwater this bad.
Just too much rain, couldn't cope.
We're lucky we came in last night and lifted all the stock off the floor.
It was quick to rise, the route out of town swallowed in hours, rewriting the 1974 flood record, transforming streets into rivers, water lapping walls inside and out. Those returning finding their houses cut off by hundreds of metres of water.
I knew it'd be bad, but when I just came out and saw the water, it's, very emotional. And we're all going to face when we can get back into it.
Residents still inside, trying to salvage what they can and escape. Water police and local boats have been rescuing residents for hours. While the water levels are receding, there's concerns they may begin to rise again because of the amount of water being released at Lake Eildon. Flood levels are expected to sail through until Sunday. A community already out in force, bringing anything they have from boats to brooms, trying to keep their town afloat.
We went in the shop and there was about 2 inches of water. So when we walked in the dark, and it was just a shock.
As the Premier flew into Shepparton to see firsthand how the statewide crisis is being managed. Water taking over Benalla, the footy ground and bowls club under, rising levels around the library as residents are urged to evacuate.
And it is going to be an anxious night ahead for many in those regional towns. Penelope Lears joins me now. Penny, Benalla and Shepparton are next in the firing line.
Alicia, you can see just how quickly the water is moving through Lake Benalla. That's coming from the Broken River. It's spilled onto that footy ground at Benalla behind us. There's roads cut off here as well. Residents being urged to evacuate to get to higher ground with these river levels continuing to rise. Over towards Shepparton, there's concerns there will be major flooding from tomorrow. Particular concerns around Orvale, Hyala West and over to Euroa. The Premier has been in Shepparton this afternoon. He's expected to tour flood-affected areas of the state tomorrow as well. And in Wangaratta, there's a watch and act in place there. Residents keeping an eye on the Ovens River, which is also continuing to rise.
Shocking.
could be alternate timelines where you make the choice one way and your whole reality is different, and you could potentially have people who could see the future, or you could have a prophetic dream that shows you what that timeline might be like for you. But you could make a different choice. If dreams are like deja vu and they're warning you of the future, you can make a different choice and alter your future with that.
After 800 yards, take the exit 1 and 6 towards Birmingham, then keep left. Take the exit 1, then keep left. After 400 yards, keep left, then take the motorway.
Okay, next question. What are the consequences?
Keep left, then take the motorway.
As far as I can see, the only repercussions to people being interfere with the race is if they have had incredible success. No obstacle going on now. How can we possibly win this war? Not on the level point. We see that it's down on Earth. We see
Follow M6 towards Birmingham for 12 miles.
I fucking know you're right, Sam, now, because this paperweight says we're supposed to have 2 miles to go.
After 300 yards, turn left, A577, Oral Road.
Areas of,
We'll soon find out, won't we?
The Bikers Church in Banny was one area. De La Salle High School was another one.
Wait for the punchline.
Margarito Street and the Byron Market were other areas.
Turn left.
Nicholas were others. So there's those incidents of people not following the rules of the road.
Parking rules.
Pickup trucks is just a different vehicle, which is a weapon in itself. The weaponized description to me is really the rigs keep space on the street, the rules of parking.
Pickup trucks, which are a weapon in themselves. And you'll notice some interesting echoing of some of Justin Trudeau's prior rhetoric, taking up space, taking up place. Good evening, everybody. This is a highlight from day 2 of Canada's Emergencies Act inquiry, whatever they're calling it, the public inquiry, into whether or not Justin Trudeau...
After 200 yards, turn right, B5206, Gathers Road.
...that they explore, for the sake of transparency, the circumstances surrounding Justin
Turn right.
nuclear weapon of Canadian legislation, the Emergencies Act, the substitute, the replacement for the War Measures Act. This is, what's his name, Mathieu is a city councillor for Ottawa. His testimony as to why it was necessary that Justin Trudeau invoked the nuclear option of Canadian legislation to suppress this protest as a national emergency. I didn't what did you say, Matthew? I'm sorry, can you say that again? One more time. The rules of parking were not followed. There were pickup trucks parked everywhere. And pickup trucks are a weapon.
300 yards, turn right, Spring Road.
Takes space. How ironic that this government official, city councillor, Mathieu Fleury, spouting off some of the very same rhetoric.
Turn right.
Vehicles, the way Justin Trudeau refers to Canadians. It's ironic, or it's trickle-down nastiness. But it is telling that this man refers to objects the way Justin Trudeau refers to them. They take up space. Should we tolerate these trucks parked on the sidewalk? Should we tolerate these Canadians? This witness on day 2 testified to the fact that cars were not legally parked. Bring in the military. By the way, I gotta show you this. The woman sitting next to me, Catherine McKinney. She's the other city councillor who testified the other day. She had doozies of some testimony. Let's just get one of them. Oh, here we go. This is Catherine McKinney telling the other witness, Mathieu Fleury, to answer in French. Pretend you don't understand English now. And answer in French because you know the guy cross-examining you doesn't speak a lick of French. And he's going to have the headphones for the real-time translation. But let's just get one of the sound bites from Catherine McKinney.
Well, that's Hines.
City councillor for Somerset, Ontario. Elected official. And then we're going to get to the punch.
After 300 yards, go straight on Spring Road.
I just don't trust you sat now, not one bit.
Go straight on.
Scrap it, ended there. I didn't personally witness any, but I got a whole lot of second-hand hearsay. Oh, someone passed out, allegedly.
After 200 yards, turn right, Amber Court, then you have reached your destination.
Anyway, that's not what I wanted to show you. What I wanted to show you was Catherine McKinney, city councillor. I guess I gave her too hard of a time.
Turn right, then you have reached your destination.
More people than I guess she wanted people to see. Catherine McKinney, city councillor for Ottawa.
Cool.
There should be a rule that if you're an elected official, you can't block.
You have reached your destination, Amber Court.
I was sharing her testimony, not so that she would know that I was watching it.
What the fuck was that I was listening to? I don't know. Got to bring up this bastard. Yeah, it got a delivery done.
Alright, okay. Are you at the gate that says contact this number for delivery?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Just carry on along the road, you'll just have a second service you'll building. And if you just drive going to past that building, just straight to the bottom, you'll see a gate. Just press the buzzer and we'll let you through.
Okay, so that's the second building.
Yeah, just past the second service building.
Okay.
Straight side of the road and to the gate.
Okay, cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
bye. Fucking hope it is down here. But that's a bit tight. Press the buzzer. Which fucking buzzer? Let's get a little bit closer. Right guys, I'll pause it here. So, this is thermal seal. Again. Fucking know it's ever easy in this bastard world. Didn't want to run the cones. What a fucking shit place this is. Fucking be more accidents. Let's just let every fucking lorry in the yard. Where's fucking reception? That'll do me guys, I don't want to cause any damage, done enough.